I feel like you can be quite greedy. So I would go for 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, I would definitely say that this is going to be much more of a macro-style game. Your natural expansion is on a ramp, as you mentioned, so Zerglings will have to poke up there, and Marines are all range units. They can perhaps take down those units well before the Zergling sees anything, as we do see a supply depot and now a barracks being built on the front door. So it looks like TBZ perhaps wanting to do a little bit more of a tech strategy. We'll see if he goes for that 13 gas or if he's going to go perhaps for an 18 command center later on.
So just to clarify, what he does, we can't even say.
Yes, I did not just say that.
I caught you. Right
Yeah,
there.
you caught me. Okay, so this is really interesting down over here. You can see what this player is doing, and basically that's as much as I can say until it is scouted out by the other player. And it really goes along the lines of what Megumi Bear was talking about earlier. A larger map, you can actually do this here.
Yes, you can do this right here.
Yeah.
That's all we can say.
Yeah, but TBZ will be able to scout this out in just a moment. It looks like he is going to go ahead and try to scout out the third position first, make sure that there isn't some sort of crazy double expansion. And now that TBZ has scouted out this fast expansion, we can actually talk about it and see that Mystik with this hatchery down here and perhaps a spawning pool being built inside the base with an extractor. And we'll see what exactly TBZ tries to go for, as I'm trying to be cautious with my words.
So as you can see, he did something similar to what I said earlier, the build that I would choose to be as Zerg. Okay, so we do have xSix Mystik is playing for Fullerton, and then we have IMpTbeezy playing for Davis. So just so you know, Red Terran is playing for Davis, Blue Zerg is playing for Fullerton.
Yeah, so red is Fullerton. No, hey, red is Davis, blue is Fullerton.
Yeah, Davis.
Yeah, okay, getting my colors
Fullerton.
mixed up already. And you can already see that TBZ does have double Marines currently patrolling on his ramp. And even though Mystik has went out across the map, he only sees the barracks and the supply depots on the front door. He doesn't know about this here. And he doesn't know about these two here as well. So, and I realize that perhaps the cameraman's not following my actions either. So,
yes, we have to. So I think it's best if we just followed his camera, and then we would be able to say on how much knowledge.
All right, so yes,
Probably.
we are going to be... Let's go ahead and just follow the observer's camera now as we see Zerglings chasing after an SCV. The SCV may get protected and yes, is able to sneak back up the ramp as we now see a liftoff and perhaps a very interesting opening for... a common opening for Terran versus Zerg. This here as we also see this tech building being built.
You can also... I can't say this either, huh? We have this coming. Do you see this? To scout? Yeah, to check the... Yes, this is the most awkward casting ever.
Yeah, this is perhaps the most awkward casting. Could we change it so that the observer follows who's ever talking and switching between Megumi Bear and Shindigs, and that way we can actually highlight and talk better that way. That way it may be a little bit easier for us. So let's go ahead and let's try that.
So we'll follow your camera first.
Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and do that instead, as I will take away my camera, and we'll see that we do have defensive buildings being placed down, a very standard, and this is also interesting as well. Mystik deciding to place down this building here as opposed to placing it here, and he will be able to benefit from the additional, from the additional larvae, and he is not also going to expose himself by trying to take too much territory early on.
Sorry. Actually, can we see that right here? Do we see this?
Yeah.
So we see it. We see that. So it's going to go for a longer. Can I say longer game?
Huh?
Can I say longer game?
Yeah, you can say
it's
longer.
Okay, we can say this. So it'll probably be a longer game, like we said earlier, a macro game. I do like this a lot instead of a crazy cheese. And this map constitutes usually for a macro game only because, your third is nearby. You can go ahead and safely expand. You can hold it. There's only one place area that they're going to really come by. All you need to do is have a depot or SCV by the rocks to make sure that it's not being broken down. Same with the Zerg. You have your Overlord position right there to see if your rocks are being broken down too. So it's quite easy to cover the area of this map just to know, so no surprises really come.
Yeah, and I really like this play by TBeezy. TBeezy was able to get out these 4 Hellions and then try to control the creep tumor spread. Mystik, the Grandmaster player he is, canceled his creep tumors right before they got taken down, as the Zerglings are now going to try to take down those Hellions. I don't think the Hellions are going to be able to deal any damage to the creep tumors, and this creep tumors will still spread, giving a lot more movement speed to the Zerglings and also more scouting information as well.
The good thing that the Terran is doing, he's not being over eager with the Hellions. You don't want to run into the base of the Zerg because the Hellions actually do a lot of things for you. They give you map control, they give you scouting, they deny creep spread, they delay that third of the Zerg, and you just really need to keep those alive. Losing those is a huge mistake from Terran players, so you need to be very careful not to just send them into the base, because Speedlings are already faster than Hellions off creep, so on creep it's pretty much suicide.
Yeah, most definitely. As you can see, Mystik really building a very fortified front door, making it going to be very difficult for any units to get up here. And right now, I'm not going to be concerned about them hearing me. If they can hear me, we'll try to adjust it in later on. As you can see that all of these have been moved back, a really narrow choke point, and it's going to be very difficult to bust unless there is a lot more mech units that we do currently see being built.
I really have to note, his creep spread has been very good. Even with all these Hellions out, he's making sure that he's not losing that. He cancels it like you mentioned earlier. Very smart play by the Zerg. I mean, creep spread is not just so your units get faster, it gives you a lot of scouting position, and not just scouting, it will also allow, when the Terran tries to press against you, it makes their push slower, because they don't want to push on creep, so they have to keep scanning and killing that creep, so their push against you is much slower. So it buys you a lot of time for Zerg to be able to squeeze in as many drones as possible, and then make units, at the last minute.
Yeah, definitely. We see TBeezy has taken up his third base already. A Zergling now pecking away at it, as we also see a hatchery being built, and TBeezy has spotted this as well. So both players now running up on 3 bases. The food count is pretty even, 102 versus 100. Harvester count 56 compared to 58. So this is going to turn into a really heavy macro game, and it's really going to depend on who can control the production of their units better, who can hit, or if Zerg, if Mystik can constantly hit his injects even in the middle of battle, he can replenish his forces perhaps even more quickly.
Yes, very good point. Another good thing I wanted you to note is when we saw that Rax that scouted that third, it's very smart from the Terran player, because even if you lose that Rax, it's only 150 minerals, so it's cheaper than using a scan. So you should think about it that way. I mean, it gives you scouting, and if you lose that, it's 150 minerals, whereas a mule is like 230, 270 minerals.
Yeah,
so it is cheaper.
Definitely, but right now we see that there are Mutalists inside the third base trying to take down SCBs, but the turrets have all been canceled, as all those units have been taken down. Hellions there trying to do something, but they cannot attack the air. The Thor getting off 2 shots, but it does take 3 shots for a Thor to take down a Mutalist unless they do have 2-0 upgrades, and there goes 1.
So actually he got 7 workers total. So that was pretty nice. And did he lose a Mutalist?
Yeah, he lost 1 Mutalist, I believe.
He lost 1 Mutalist. He had perfect timing. That turret was almost finished.
Yeah, it's all about timing on the attacks. It's trying to attack when you have that window of opportunity. And sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to have a larger number. I'm going to try to get more units and then attack when I have 15 Mutalists. But perhaps 5 or 6 Mutalists could have done enough damage to really get to that lead. And you see them now coming into the main base, going after some of those turrets before they're built, and now perhaps trying to take down some of this mech. As you see IMpTbeezy with 4 factories in his base. That means a lot of Thors and a lot of Hellions. Tech labs are getting taken down now, and we'll see if any units can make their way. Thors are incredibly slow, as the Thor now making its way up that ramp, finally getting off some shots.
That is huge damage, just because the add-ons take a long time to build. And if you're going mech, I mean, this is going to put the Terran even further back on his push. Zerg's going to be able to macro even more. As you can see, he's even taken his 4th. So this is very, very good play by the Mutalists. And when Mutalists get in such a big number like that, they're quite scary.
Yeah, definitely. But right now you're going to see Zerglings run inside the third base and now do some harassment here. There are some units coming up. Siege tanks are going to, tanks doing splash damage on the SCVs. This is really bad, as all the Zerglings now need to just perhaps splash up on top of those Hellions. Hellions do have blue flame, ineffective against roaches though, as TBs should be able to push back this harassment here.
Oh well, he lost a lot of Mutalists right there.
Yeah, so a lot of Mutalisks were taken down as Orbital Command now backing away here. And now we do see 172 versus 157. MLG wants to try to take up a third base, but won't be able to, as there is some creep there right now. The Mutalisks could go after the Hellions, but Roaches are now making a move, as we are going to have mass Roaches versus Siege Tanks, but the Roaches are now trying to get within that 0 range, dealing a lot of damage. The Mutalisks are not magic boxing, and that's going to be a problem, finally spreading out a little bit, but there are simply going to be too many Thors. The Thors are going to push back this attack, as the Roaches are now forced to retreat.
Right when that Zerg pushed, another time, I have to say, he had good timing again because his +1 just finished as the moment that he pushed. So you can note that he has a very clear mind. He's very aware of his build.
Yeah,
but the Zerg, it's not really good for the Zerg to be on the same upgrade count as Terran right now.
Definitely right now, as we see, Hellions going to be able to just take down all of these drones really, really easily, but it looks like they are going to get cut off. Roaches now going up against the Thors. The Roaches are focus firing. The Hellions hoping to do additional splash damage. More drones getting taken down as well, as the Thor does go down. Roaches versus Hellions. The sheer number of Hellions may help out, but the 3 Mutalisks in the air will tip the battle in favor of the Zerg, as the Hellions are now forced to retreat.
Also, if you look at the map is almost half purple. So we have good creep spread going on with his macro and his harassment.
Yeah, definitely. We can see now another command center being built by IMpTbeezy. So MLG, I believe the Davis player, should be able to perhaps expand over here as well. And this is going to turn into a crazy macro game. Siege tanks, not even a planetary fortress, as the Roaches perhaps trying to deny gas at the very least. And now just being able to take down one of those refineries. Zerglings still holding, or a Roach holding the Zelnaga Tower. And this is turning into an east versus west crazy macro battle.
Oh, finally. I was waiting for the Terran to get his upgrades going. There he goes.
All right. We are at Tier 3 right now. We are going into a Greater Spire with 5 Corruptors being built. And that means Broodlords will be in the future. And from what I see right now, MLG doesn't have a starport with a reactor. He's going to have a very difficult time trying to stop Broodlords, as Thors do not deal bonus damage to Broodlords. Roaches are now simply able to walk inside the space, going to perhaps rock up into the third and take down multiple units. A starport, double starports are now being built. Hopefully he didn't hear me, as the Roaches are now going after and perhaps going to take down one orbital command. The orbital command may lift off in just